Hey guys, welcome back again to my channel. Today we are going to have a new episode with a call and talk with my husband, Paul. And today's topic is a brand new one and it has come to my attention these past few days. And I looked at this topic. It has actually rise last year, but it's not yet, it's still growing. So it's not yet very popular for some reason. So today we were going to talk about the trad wife or the traditional wife, they call it. So today we will be discussing the traditional or the rise of these traditional women in the West. Because as you all know, over the past few years, we have seen a growing movement of women who are choosing to embrace the the traditional gender roles, or what we call this now, the house, being a housewife, right? They just call it the traditional or the trad wife because they base it, I think it was 1950s, the 1950s women. And you know about the 1950s women, right? So we will explore this trend with my husband, and I'm gonna ask him, or yeah, I'm gonna ask him a couple of questions, what he thinks about it, and do you think it is worth looking into it? Like, as you all know, the trend passport bros, these bros or these guys come into the Asian countries to find a wife, and now these women from the West, they are starting this movement where they change from being a feminist to being a traditional wife. So, baby, can I call you baby?
Okay. Yeah, you can call me baby because I am your baby. Okay. So, um, a few things. Okay. So, everybody uses the word feminist in a degrading way because of its feminism today is really bad. Feminism, when
Mm,
it started, was a good thing because they wanted was equality. They wanted women to be able to work, women to be able to vote. That was a great thing.
yeah,
But now it's gone too far, and I think most people will say yes, except for the feminists, obviously.
it
Um,
has become
so
radical.
it's become radical. Like most movements, they start off with a good idea and it becomes really radical, and then
Yeah.
after a while they disappear, I guess. And hopefully feminism will disappear as well. But today's feminism anyway. Um, the trad, what do you call it? Trad
Trad
wife, right?
wife. Yeah.
Trad wife, basically a traditional housewife, a traditional wife, like you said, from the 50s, beginning of the 60s, right?
Mm,
So first you have to look at what you want to always do is look at statistics, right? Like, what are women doing today? Are they happier today or are they more miserable today? And if you look at women today, between the ages of 40 and I think it's 45, they are the highest users of antidepressants. Okay.
yeah.
So I think when women get to their 40s and above or late 30s, they realize, many of them, that they've kind of thrown away their lives to something that didn't make them happy, you know? And they look at other people who have made other choices, like traditional wives who have stayed at home, gone to the football games with the boys and the girls, and kind of had that traditional family structure, supported the guy so he could do the best he could do in his career. Because you must remember, when a guy is working, 60, 70, 80 hours a week, the
Hmm.
last thing he wants to come home to is a woman who has an attitude and argue and all that. He wants to come to peace and quiet, relaxation, a nice meal, the house is clean, the kids are there and they're tucked to bed later. He needs that to excel in his career. Anybody who's worked 70, 80 hours at home and then has to, at work, and then has to come home with argues and all that. And the reason I'm saying that is because women who work, if they're going to succeed, they actually have to become more like men. Because the way to succeed, you have to become more argumentative. You have to put your point forward. You have to be the alpha in a way to succeed. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you can't just switch it off. You can't go to work, be an alpha there and argumentative and stand your ground and everything, and then come home and become very feminine. That's almost impossible unless you're some type of fake person. So
You have two
I think more
persona.
and more women, yeah, and I think women have to make a choice. You have to make a choice. Do you want to be that type of person? I'm not saying women shouldn't work, but I think if a woman, her primary focus is her career, I think is it's doomed in a way, because women want alpha guys. Women want a guy they can look up to. Women want a guy that is higher than them. You know, they don't
Hmm.
want a guy and a lot of women feel, and this is again can be shown in statistics, that a guy who's just at home doesn't make any money, and if they're out there making money, they don't look up to that guy. And it's shown in the U.S. the biggest um, what's the word flag, I guess, that the biggest flag to show that someone is going to get divorced is when a woman gets a promotion and makes more money than her husband. That is one of the biggest signs that a divorce is going to happen. Because then maybe she doesn't look up to it. It doesn't always happen, but that's one of the things that happens in the U.S.
Yeah.
And so I think before people get married, right, before they have kids, they have to have that discussion. You know, are you going to stay at home, or are you going to have a career on the side, or is your goal to have that as your primary goal, to make money and succeed in your career? Because if you both have that goal, I just don't see it working very well. I mean, some
Also,
people are married and they don't have that connection, right? They're just like, it's almost like a business deal,
mm,
right?
arranged marriage, I guess. Also, there is a sense of delusionment. Is that a word? With modern dating right now, because these women, once they hit the prime age, and that's the time that they started looking for a family, right? And if they can't find one, then they started like, thinking like, what have they done? Like, is there a hope to it? Because as you know, I think in the West, they're now slowly getting tired of this casual dating, and they just want being stable in a relationship. They want uh like they seek men that can provide stability in the relationship, and not just playing around,
Yeah,
hooking up with somebody else.
but the
And
problem is, okay, go ahead. Sorry,
also these
finish.
traditional gender roles can really provide a sense of stability, for example, and also a security in a relationship, because you feel the sense of like relief, like for example, got it officially, I am in a stable relationship. I have a sense of fulfillment in a way. You don't go around thinking like, what if tomorrow is gonna break up with me? What if the next day is gonna find somebody else? So there's
Hmm.
like slowly these women will start thinking about it, and then they just they just wanted to be in that safe space, I would say.
But yeah, but the problem is, again, most of these women party their lives out and have a lot of partners before they reach 29, 30. And
That's true.
sometimes they have two, three kids with
Hmm.
two, three different fathers. And then they expect some guy to marry them, take care of the kids that belong to a different father, and somehow pay for everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
guys have done that, but I think more and more guys now are becoming red pilled and realizing this is BS and
Hmm.
leaving the country for better pastures, for lack of other words. So I think all that's changing, and I think women in the West have started realizing they have to change also. They cannot
But it's
continue because it's the if you're a guy who has succeeded, the world is your oyster. You don't have to date girls in the Philippines or Thailand. You can go to Japan. You can go to Eastern Europe. You can go to many different countries that are not westernized. You can go to the Middle East. Where women are very traditional, or you can go to the Philippines. The
mm,
world's yours. You don't have to put up with the BS that's happening in the West. And why would you? I mean, seriously, why would you?
true. But with this rise of the trad wife or whatever, traditional wife or housewife, however you call it, it has been criticized by these modern feminists, I would say. They argue that having these traditional gender roles are very oppressive in a way, and it is limiting them, and that women should have choices, and that choice, sorry, and that choice would have lead to freedom, or that choice would lead to a pursuing of a different lifestyle in a way, and that
But that is a choice, right?
yeah, it's
Choosing to
quite
be a
funny.
housewife is a choice.
It's quite
So
funny
they're
because
arguing against their own points.
it's quite
They're
funny
saying
because
women should
like
have had choice, and
yeah,
then they choose, and then they get mad. You can't do that.
that's the thing. I don't get it. Like, okay, what if you choose a different path, and why would you say something? Why would you? It's okay to criticize a little bit about it, but not to the point where you get so mad, calling these women like they're just slaves for these men. And what if men will go look around for other women while these women are being traditional, and like, also they have these questions like, what if the guy will cheat with the girl, while that girl was being traditional, cooking, cleaning, making the house clean, tucking the kids to the bed. And like, they're questioning like, what's what what is the girl's gonna do, what is she gonna do, how is she
But
gonna how
what
is
if the
she
girl
gonna what
cheats? What if the girl cheats? What's he gonna do?
is the question? I don't know the answer.
I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing for their relationship to decide. I mean, at that point, you have to make a decision, right? If someone's
Yeah.
cheating, do you forgive them or not? Maybe you
Mm,
forgive them the first time, the second time, the third time. Then after a while, maybe you find out, you know what? Your life with this guy is so good, him cheating on the side, you don't care about it. Or maybe you decide, you know what? I can't take this anymore and I'm out. That's a
yeah.
decision each person has to make for themselves, right? So, yeah.
Also,
What
these
about you?
traditional.
What about you, Mia? What do you want to be? You want to be a traditional wife, or you want to be
I thought they wanna be a housewife.
you want to be a housewife, so you don't want to work?
That's the question. I'm battling myself, love. So don't.
Say
Sometimes
what?
there's some point where I say, oh, I want to work for a few years and then quit and just be a housewife. And at some point where, I'm really thinking like, I think it's okay to be a housewife and tending to the kids.
Yeah. I
But
think you
it's
can do
also up
both.
to
I think
you.
you can do
So,
both. I'm not contradicting myself now by saying you can do both, but you can do both, but your primary focus would have to be, if you want to be a traditional person, your primary focus has to be the home, the
mhm.
husband, the kids.
Yeah, yeah,
But you can
I
also
agree.
work part-time on the side. Sometimes you have time, not always, but sometimes when the kids are young, like babies and all that, sometimes you don't have time. In the
Mm.
Philippines, it's a bit easier because you can hire a yaya,
You can leave it
and
with the
they can do a
family.
lot. They can do a lot of the work. And the amount of money you would make as a programmer would be much bigger than what she makes as a yaya. So it would be worth your time. So in a way, you're getting both worlds, right?
Also, you have to. I want to understand. We've talked about it earlier as well. That these trad wife, like, okay, these women, they say it's okay to be a housewife, but these traditional wives, they come to a point where they mention the word submissive. You have to submit to your husband. And you have to understand, it's also on the Bible. I don't know what verse though, but I've read it somewhere. I think it was Ephesians something, that women should submit to the husband. That's where the
I like the
feminists.
Bible.
You should read the Bible. God.
No,
Oh.
but I think submissive has become a very negative word, degrading word, right? But the way I look at it is you're looking at to your husband to lead,
Mm,
right? When you go into work, you're not being submissive to your boss,
no.
are you? You're not. You're just expecting your boss to lead. I mean, if your boss says jump, you don't say how high. You say what? You know, why
Yeah.
do you want me to jump, right? You question things. You're not a slave. I think by submissive, when people use that word, I think they use it in the wrong context. I think more it's like the man needs to lead. And why
Mm,
wouldn't the man lead? Most women marry a guy who's, 5 to 10 years older, has a lot more life experience, has gone through a lot more, because
yeah.
have to become. Women are born, okay? Women are born with a certain beauty. They don't have to do much to get a husband, right? They just have to be somewhat smart, even not even that smart really, to be honest. But they just have to have a beauty, right? A man has to become. He has to work hard. He has to get to a certain place. He has to, learn how to fight. He has to. There's so much a man has to do to get to a certain point, and that's why his value doesn't really. His max value, his peak value isn't before he's like 35 to 45, right?
Hmm.
While a woman's peak value is when she's young and beautiful. Okay, so why wouldn't you let the man lead with all this experience? Why do you marry an older man if it's not for his life experience and his leadership capability and him being that type of person?
Then you
So
know the other
why
reason why then you will know the other reason why these women chooses older, like really much older guys, and they don't want the guy to lead, right? You know the reasons why they choose that guy.
why does that mean?
Money, honey.
Oh,
I
money.
gotta get some
Okay.
money, honey. Money.
Well, yes. I mean, if some chick is 20-year-old is dating an 85-year-old guy, yeah, I agree with you. But yeah, but in general, I mean, there's bad apples everywhere, right? There's bad
Yeah.
apples. There's Western guys that go to the East, exploit women. There's no
Hmm.
doubt about that. And there's Eastern women, Southeastern women, or you know, that exploit guys coming from the West, right? Because some of the guys that come, they're weak. Let's just face it. They're weak when it comes to women. They don't know how to put their foot down. I've seen many guys when I lived in the Philippines. I know many of them that I look at them and I think to myself, what the hell are you doing? They are weak the way they act with women. They don't put their foot
Mentally
down. They
weak.
don't mentally weak. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and they let the women disrespect them. They let the women raise their voices against them. It's just like I don't understand it because I've been in some relationships and as soon as a woman disrespect me, she's gone. I mean, you're out, done. You can't let people walk over you. And I don't understand what some of these guys do, but it shows me that they have a weak mind when they first get there, and their mind isn't going to get stronger unless they're willing to go out and venture, willing to take a chance. But they're not. They feel comfortable with security instead of they have feminine traits. Let me put it that way. They have very feminine traits,
Or
and then they meet a woman who might actually want them to lead, but then the guy never leads, so the woman has to lead. So she has to become the alpha. And then you look at it and you just shake your head.
or it could be why these guys have a very weak mind is that they were not ready when it comes to the girls here in the Philippines.
I don't think it's that. I think it's basically. I mean, if you're most guys who go there are at least 30 years old, more like 40 and plus, and a lot of them are 60. Listen, if you haven't got your shit together at 50 or 40, you're never going to get your shit together. That's how simple it is. If
Or
you haven't
maybe I
figured
think
stuff out, but
they're just used to the women in the West, maybe. That's why the transition between the women from the West and the women here in Asia is kind of hard because here in Asia, women here are very feminine. You know,
yes,
they're really trying to show the feminine way how to care a guy and all of that, and like women men from the West they did not get that from their women there. Maybe they do,
yeah,
but in a different way. you know
Okay, most of those guys are going there because women are more feminine.
Mm-hmm.
So if women are more feminine, you have to lead. If you show yourself to be weak and can't decide and let her decide everything, and you just sit there drinking beer, and she's, it's just weakness. Okay. And then if a woman has to lead, she has to decide how to spend your money. She decides where to go. She decides everything. She's suddenly the man in the relationship, and you're the female, right?
Yeah, well, you got a good point. You got some, not some, but you got good points, maybe. But
Only
I'll
some.
stand on my. No, you got good points, but I'll stand on my choice, or yeah, my choice where I said something how the transition from moving from the West to the Philippines is also a big factor to consider. You know?
Yeah. Okay. So let me put it this way. When we met, right?
Yeah,
You were attracted to me, and I
that's
think,
feelings,
I
maybe.
think, I think physically. And what if I'd been that guy? What if I'd said, no, I don't know what to do, and and like, oh, here, you take care of the money, and you go out shopping, and I'm just gonna go see my friends and drink, and I didn't work out, I didn't feel like doing anything, I just went home, watch it. What would you think? Uh, would you still be attracted to me? I highly doubt it. But you tell me.
I think in the beginning you'd be like, maybe this guy will change, but
Yeah, that's what all women hope. Look, like I said, if you're 40, 50 years old, you're not going to change.
there's
Some
hope.
people do, but
There's hope.
very few people. Yeah.
Rare.
The girls always, maybe I can change him.
Really, it was all about the rise of these traditional women is a reflection of these growing dissatisfaction with modern feminism, and the desire for a change to become a
But
tradition.
have you noticed something? The rise of the passport bros is happening at the same time with these trad wives. Maybe there's a thing there because women have started realizing, well, guys are not putting up with this shit anymore.
I guess. Yeah.
Anyway,
So, um, I guess we'll end our discussion there. Do you want to add more?
no, I think life is always like, you know, if you look at history, it's like a pendulum, right? Things
Hmm.
go this way, and then it goes too far, and then it goes back this way too far. It never like stabilizes in the middle. So I think what's happening with the trad wives, the passport bros, and all that is a reaction to what's been happening for the last 10, 15 years in the US. And I think these women are seeing older women, you know, and seeing how miserable they are now without a husband, past their prime. They can't get a guy. I mean, they can go out and find a guy to have fun with for one night, but nobody's committing to them. No
Yeah.
serious guy that they want is committing to them. And they see how miserable they are. They're thinking to themselves, do I really want to be that? So I think the pendulum is starting to swing the other way.
We will end our oh, discussion for tonight, and we will talk in another episode of Call and Talk with my husband soon again. Hopefully, if he's not that busy. This is just random. He got more time this time.
This
So,
weekend I had some time.
yeah,
Yeah. Usually I'm
s-
too busy working.
true for most part.
Yeah.
So, we will see you all in the next video. Bye for now, and have
Don't
a.
forget to like, subscribe,
Oh, yeah,
and
I
hit the
forgot that.
notification bell.
And we will see you all in the next video.